G'day, Josh. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. How are you going?
Yeah, well, thanks, Grant. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure, mate. I had you on the list for a little while and very pleased that you've said yes and can take the time out to talk to me a little bit. Why don't we start with who you are and why you do landscape photography?
Yeah, so look, I'm a father of two young children. I've got a 6 and a 10-year-old. We live in the wheat belt, central wheat belt of Western Australia at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a police officer. I'll probably lose half the followers by divulging that information, but that's life. And so with that job, I move around from town to town. In the last few years, I moved from Tamble up to Esperance, and I'm now in Calabarin in the central wheat belt, 2.5 hours from the CBD of Perth. The fortunate side of that is that it takes me to areas that have differing landscapes and environments to allow me to do my photography. I got a little bit serious about it around 2019. Prior to that, I'd always, if I was on a holiday or something, I'd take a whole raft of photographs, anywhere from a few hundred to thousands, and people thought it was a bit odd. And so I never really knew I had a true passion for it until I was posted down to Tambler in 2019, and there was a really unique environment down there in that there were pink lakes down around Cranbrook, and there was a river right on the edge of town that was just dead flat. So with the stunning sunrises and sunsets in that area, it just gave me the opportunity to take some really nice photographs, I think. And a few people mentioned that a few of them weren't too bad. So I thought maybe this is something I should take a little bit more seriously. And
sure,
yeah, I've enjoyed the journey ever since.
Fantastic. So what is it, I guess, that started you off on that journey in terms of the scenery? What grabbed you? Was it the lakes or the river or both?
Look, I think it was a bit of both. In relation to the lakes, the pink lakes of Cranbrook and that surrounding area, is just the uniqueness of it.
Yeah.
These are bubblegum pink lakes that I hadn't seen anywhere else before. And the contrast was just incredible, and it varied from season to season.
Yeah, right.
That was quite spectacular. And yeah, some of the patterns and textures that you get in those pink lakes as well, when they dry off a bit, are just extraordinary. That really sparked an interest in me, and in relation to the Gordon River, just that reflection photography, the silhouettes of the trees and the reflection off the water was just beautiful.
Yeah, fantastic. What sort of things are you aiming to express through your photography? Is it the feeling of place, or is it something different?
Look, I think it's just revealing to people how extraordinarily beautiful nature is. I know that sounds fairly, I don't know, cliche perhaps, but it's just, and a lot of people reside in the suburbs, and yeah, they go on holidays and this and that, but they don't often get to see the types of landscapes that I've been fortunate to live in amongst over my career. And so to be able to show those landscapes and areas to the wider world, and that I get joy out of that.
How has where you live shaped how you shoot? It's obviously shaped what you shoot. Has it had an impact on the methods and the techniques you're using?
Look, I think it has. I think it, particularly with the pink lakes of the Cranbrook region, it was very much the top-down type of aerial drone photography that sort of grabbed me. And I think I prefer still photography with the camera, but I find it very easy, and this sounds bad, but I find it easy to just get the drone, head out, shoot it. It's a lot easier to photograph with the drone, in my opinion, than it is to try it out, get the camera. You've got to be a bit more creative with the still camera, in my opinion. But with the pink lakes and the grass, the green grass or the dead grass, depending on what time of year, to shoot straight down just revealed something that a lot of people don't get to see. They probably do these days because it's all over Instagram. Like that, but every
become a
photo,
popular subject.
very popular. So I guess, yeah, that sort of steered me in the direction of the drone photography, and to this day, that's what I tend to do more of. But on the odd occasion when I get the still camera out, particularly with the big zoom lens and it's late in the evening or something, I get quite excited at that because the creativity is endless with that type of photography, I find.
So are you a planner or more spontaneous? In other words, are you going into the field with a concept in mind about what it is that you want to shoot, or are you a little bit more spontaneous and just pick and choose as you go?
I think it's a bit of both. Some nights I'll think, tomorrow I'm going to head out to this location and I'm going to throw the drone out and try and get some unique aerial shots of a salt lake or whatever it is, an ocean coast. But other times the weather might change quickly and I'll just grab the still camera and I'll bolt out in the car to see if I can get a lightning strike or whatever else is on offer. But so a bit of both, I would say, but more often planned. But sometimes, yeah, I'll shoot out.
Yeah, nice. How has your style changed from when you first started to where you are now?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when I started, it was it was more than just the point and shoot at a landscape level. I think naturally I tried to incorporate the third type, the thirds rule, is what I'm trying to say. I tried to incorporate that in images, whether that was consciously or not, I don't know, but I think that worked out pretty well more often than not. But now, you've stumped me with that question a bit. I think what I tried to do, so when I started out, I did a lot of YouTube research into the fundamentals of photography, and I tried to learn different types of photography, whether it be night photography, which I was never very good at, still aren't, because I haven't really pushed myself to learn it. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought there, mate.
You're right. It's basically around how your style has developed from where you started.
Yeah. I felt like my photography was progressing and improving, and I feel like I've been in a bit of a holding pattern for the past, I'm not too sure, maybe 12 months or so. So it might be time to challenge myself and try something a little bit different, whether it be long exposure, something that you're fantastic at, or some night photography, because I do really enjoy the night photography. I love getting out at night time and I love seeing other people's night photography, but I've never really been able to put it all together and come out with a fantastic subject in the foreground with the night sky in the background. So a bit of work to be done.
Good. Sounds good. In terms of the feeling you get when you're out shooting, can you describe that for me?
Oh, it's exciting. It really just excites you, particularly when things are going your way. I think I referred to it. There was an evening in town here in Calabarin a couple of months ago, and it was the sunset was just extraordinary. And I thought we'd get more sunsets and sunrises that just blow you away here, but we haven't had a hell of a lot, particularly over the past 12 months that I've been here. But this particular evening, it was just unbelievable. And I had the zoom lens out. There's a few images on my edge of this particular sunset, but it just excited, and I just thought, wow, I was like a little kid in a candy shop, I suppose, running around with my camera and trying to get in the right position and lining it up with the landscape and the trees and things like that. I also got the drone out over Barndee Lakes, which is just out of Calabarin, a couple of months ago, and I saw something out in the distance, and it turns out it was an old gypsum mine cart line, which was really quite unique and interesting. So that excited me when I first saw it. I wasn't sure whether it was an old railway line or what it was, but in the end, discovered it was an old gypsum mine cart track. And that was just really exciting when you come across something a little bit different. I photographed, and this is also on my page some time ago, but uploaded it. But there's an image of a you can make a person's face in a salt lake, in a dry salt lake pan, or at least I can, and I'm sure others could as well. When you see things like that, it just blows you away. So yeah, really exciting.
So where did you learn your craft? And obviously, you said you used a bit of YouTube. Is that your only training, or have you spoken to other photographers or anything?
No, look, it's really just been self-taught. YouTube helped me a little bit in the early stages. I haven't really taken much from that over the past couple of years, but it's just, for me, it's just a matter of getting out there and seeing what I can see. And yeah, no, I really just taught myself how to do it. Yeah, I think I've got a fair way to go. I don't regard myself as a top level photographer or anything like that, but I certainly enjoy it, and from time to time manage to snag a half decent shot, I think. So
yeah, I got to say that in terms of quality, the passion you've got certainly shows through in your work.
No, thanks very much. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So how do you balance your photography with your work life and family life? Obviously, there's got to be trade-offs made. Are you flexible enough that you can bolt out the door at a few minutes' notice when the sunset or the sunrise is going off, or
yeah, no, I can. My partner's really accommodating in relation to that, so she'll allow me, without kicking up too much of a fuss, let me just bolt out if I think there's an opportunity to take a good shot.
Yeah.
She's more than happy for me to head out. When I first started this journey around 2019, it did become a little bit obsessive, so I was heading out every night or every second night, and editing constantly, and it was starting to eat into the family time and the family commitments a little bit. But now I've taken a step back, and now it's I shoot less often, and I edit less often than I did. But I've got a huge library to go through, so still no shortage of files to play around with.
Fair enough. How do you balance the desire to create something original and unique with the need to stay true to the natural environment and the reality of what you're seeing?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. Can you repeat that, please, Grant? Sorry.
That's fine. How do you balance the desire to create something original and unique in your images with the need to stay true to what you're seeing, the reality of the scene?
Yeah. Oh, look, that's you talking about to what extent you edit an image.
It might also be choice in contrast and color and that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, that's a brilliant question, because people have often said, when I've uploaded something to Instagram or Facebook, they've said, "Oh, is that edited?" And to some extent, I edit every image. I'd love if I didn't have to, but I don't have to, but I choose to. Some I obviously touch less than others, but I try to not go overboard, I guess, is how I would put it, as how I edit it and how true I keep it to the colours and the contrast and the tones and what you're referring to there. So I certainly don't try to edit the hell out of them, I guess is one way of putting it. But I do touch them up to varying degrees from image to image. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. How do you react when somebody hits you up with, "Oh, that's been photoshopped," and it's not?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say it's upsetting. You spend a lot of time out and about, a lot of your time and effort and costs, as you would know, Grant, the fuel cost, everything else that's associated with your gear and that. So, no, I wouldn't certainly go as far as to say it's upsetting when people say things like that, but it does make you, I just carry on. So,
I got accused today, actually, one that I posted last night, of the Opera House. I got accused of removing buildings, which were never there in the first place. Yeah. Which I thought was quite a good one. Okay, you think I've removed buildings, but
if I'm brutally honest, I don't really know how to use Photoshop that well. I have removed bits of rubbish in the foregrounds and things like that. But
I think, to be honest, that's acceptable. You know.
Yeah,
very,
but
very acceptable.
As far as any sort of complex tasks on Photoshop, I wouldn't know how. So I'll just point to the fact that I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, I know how, but I didn't need to, so because buildings weren't there in the first place.
I wouldn't have thought you'd have done that.
Oh, that said, I don't mind doing a composite image now and then, but they're few and far between, and most of what I try to do is stay fairly true to what people are likely to see if they were standing behind or next to me.
Yeah. I think the first image of yours I saw may have been that one down at the Bustleton Jetty with that striking.
Oh, the big pink and purple sunset. Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, nothing. I desaturated that, to be honest.
That's just remarkable. Can I ask, and you don't have to answer, but have you sold many of those or not?
The Bustleton one I've sold a couple of times, prints of that.
That's beautiful image.
Yeah, the most popular one though that's sold for me is the Sydney Opera House on another red sky morning. But it's funny. Bustleton one, nobody's really commented much on that other than saying, wow, it's a brilliant sky. And it was. It just went off and it kept going off. That sky lasted probably a good 45, 50 minutes at a very high intensity. Started off pretty much just on sunset. As the sun went down, there was a nice gap and it just lit up and it just stayed that way for about 45, 50 minutes. It was brilliant.
You've got to love those skies. I don't see too many of those.
But, no, well, it's the best I've ever seen. I doubt I'll see another one.
Oh, no. We had one or two while I was down around Tambalup that just hung around like what you're describing, and you just can't get enough of those skies. But
I'm used to them here in Sydney. If they do pop in a sunset, it's usually you're lucky if you get 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But sunrise is a little bit better because there's no obstructions. We got the mountains here in the west.
Yeah,
they tend to give it a bit of a shove towards going dark early.
Yeah, just fabulous. I'd love to get over there at some point.
What's the furthest you've been to get a shot deliberately for photography?
That's a really good question as well. Oh, wow. Look, I'll regularly, not so much now, but certainly before when I was based on the south coast, I'd drive an hour or two to get a photograph of a particular location without even thinking twice. I mean, if there was something I wanted to photograph, I'd drive 5-6 hours. If I really wanted to capture it, actually, there's a place that I've been wanting to get to for quite some time, which is Lake Ballard out in Kalgoorlie. So that's on my radar. I've just got to find the time. And I was actually half contemplating driving up to Exmouth for this total eclipse, but with the kids at the moment, I don't think that's going to happen. So there might be an opportunity to head somewhere else. But look, a couple of hours, wouldn't even blink at that. I often drive from here to Perth. So for me, 2-3 hour drive is nothing. So yeah, no problem.
Have you got a favourite spot that you just keep getting called back to?
No, not really. Not in this particular area. I think if I wasn't so lazy and I got out more with my still camera, I reckon I'd find a bunch of beautiful subjects around this area.
Yeah.
But of late, I have become a little bit lazy and I've gone for my drone. And when it comes to drone photography, there's not too much in this particular area that really excites me. It's a crop farm, it's a wheat belt, so it's a wheat belt region. When the canola comes, there'll be a bit of contrast between the wheat and canola and things like that. But you can so many green and yellow sort of photos, I think. So,
Yeah, green and yellow fields. Yeah.
yeah, but they do look beautiful. You can get the odd one. Yeah. I think I took one a fair while back, and you had the blue and the couple of nice white fluffy clouds, so that looked good. But
Yeah, nice.
yeah,
Bit
so,
like a Microsoft Windows background.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What's your most memorable experience while out shooting?
My most memorable experience. Look, I'm actually, when you said that, but I would say I took a sunset and it was similar, certainly not the same because they never are, but it was somewhat similar to your Bustleton sunset. I took it at a beach just east of Albany, Gull Rock Beach, it's called. And this sky was just extraordinary. It just lit up, and there was just striking different colours. I've
Yeah,
put a few up on my feed over the years of that particular evening, but yeah, I would say that was just absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, I think I've seen that one. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
sunsets are my favourites. All in all, when it comes to shooting photography, sunsets, sunrises. If I could get out of bed a bit earlier, I'd probably be able to get a few more of those. But I love a good sunset. Who doesn't? But we don't get that many around here, which surprises me actually.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Oh, yeah, it does because you got those sort of longer horizons in those nice flat plains.
oh
It's,
yeah, we do get a lot of nice sunsets, but they're not so much filled with clouds. So you get
yeah,
an
right.
sky just lights up, and it's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, we don't have that much. We haven't had that much cloud over the past 12 months, or that high cloud that just as just
Yeah, makes it pop.
yeah.
What about horror stories? You had any disasters?
Look, all I can think of is when we were up, we did a trip through the Gibb River Road last year with a few friends, and there was a couple of occasions there where I would have been walking with my camera and tripod across some of the waterways with the slippery rocks and things like that. So I didn't lose the camera, but it wouldn't have been too far off on a couple of occasions, I don't think so. But other than that, no, I can't really think of too many.
Oh, that's good. Some people have some absolute shockers, but yeah, it's nice to find people that haven't had too many.
Yeah, yeah. I was shooting lightning or trying to shoot lightning not that long ago, and it belted down, so I had to get in the car pretty quickly. But that's pretty standard. So no real horror stories.
What have you learned about? Sorry, what have you learned about the world from photography?
Oh, look, it's made me realise how unique it is from one location to the next. It just never ceases to amaze me how beautiful the landscape is. I also like shooting, haven't done it for a long time, but I also really enjoy shooting wildlife, birds in particular. I love shooting birds. I don't think it gets people as excited as the coastline. Coastlines just seems to draw everyone in. I can understand why, but personally, and that's, I know I'm going off the question that you asked, but when you asked something before, and it's about whether you stay true to what you want to do, or
Yep.
do you shoot to appeal to the masses, and that's something I've wrangled with over my journey of the past few years.
Yeah.
Because although I love shooting a coastline, and that'll certainly get me the most likes, if I put up a photograph of Esperance every day, that's surely going to win out for me. But
Yeah.
it's not my favourite form of photography.
Yeah.
I,
Right.
I prefer rural sort of photography and things that are a little bit different. But my page would perhaps suggest otherwise when you have a look through it, because you've got to, at least for me, it sounds a bit silly, but I think you have to find that balance. I think
Yeah.
if you want people,
Yeah.
so went off on
Yeah.
it.
No, that's fine. I think it's important for people to follow and post what they prefer. I
Yeah,
mean, I know from my experience that I do some intimate scenes where I've just taking a shot of a rock or a tree trunk or a section of a tree trunk.
Yeah.
And absolutely, engagement on those posts just disappears. Lucky if I get 50 people liking it or even looking at it.
But you yourself,
but yeah, I love shooting those, and yeah, I'll post a banger if I can find one.
Yeah.
But I'm also more about just shooting for me, and whatever happens online, that doesn't really factor into it for me.
No, look, I think that's a brilliant attitude, and probably something I should try to take on board a little bit more, because I do try to cater to what people like seeing. And I think it's best now at this point to start to realise that, and I do like photographing the coastline, don't get me wrong, I do. But it's not my primary, it's not what I enjoy doing the most. So I think I need to find out what I enjoy doing the most and go for that, because at the end of the day, I'm not making a hell of a lot of money out of this. It's a hobby for me. So for me, I really need to just do what I enjoy, I think. And if people enjoy looking at that, that's great. If they don't, well, so be it.
Yeah. What's your process in the field look like? Straight out of the car, put the tripod up, or get the drone up, or you?
Yeah, pretty well.
Look around a little bit more.
Oh no, look. Yeah, it's fairly spontaneous. If I'm so I might take the kids for a swim, because we haven't had our local swimming pool here for the past 12 months. The Shire's rebuilding or building a new one. So we've had to go out different towns, hour and a half drive to different pools. And so on the way, I'll always take the drone. Occasionally I'll get a dirty look from the missus, but I'll throw the drone in the back. And then on the way back, the light might be good, and I might just say, look, it's time to pull over. I need to throw the drone up and get a couple of shots. I might shed or something in the paddock, but
you never know. Kids might follow in your footsteps.
You never know.
So what about when you get back? You've got your card full, and you're straight into editing as soon as you get home, or do you tend to sit on it and take your time?
I would be straight into it 12, 18, 2 years ago. Now, not always the case. I think if I think I've got something that's a little bit different and I'm really excited to see it, I'll do it there and then, or that evening. But now I'll generally just leave the card there, and once I've got a few more and I find a bit of time, I'll then load her in and see what I've got and play around. But certainly not as. It's still something that obviously I'm excited about, but I'm not as invested fully as I was 2 years ago. But it was borderline obsession then. So it's more of a hobby now as opposed to an obsession, I think.
You've got the obsession under control.
Yeah. So I think the family's pretty happy about that. So that's good.
It's important when you got young kids in particular. I'm at a different stage of life where mine are all adults. Dad's disappeared again. So
no, that's
the middle daughter says she wants to put a tracker on me though, because she's worried that I might fall in the ocean or a waterfall or something.
Yeah, you got to be careful around the rough seas.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety first every time.
Absolutely.
Do you enjoy taking photos alone, or do you like to do it with other people? Or
yeah, that's a good one. I haven't done a great deal of photography with other people. There's a colleague that lives over in Quairading. She's on Insta. I'd give her a plug if I could remember her handle. And Annette Herring, but look, she takes some good images, really nice images. She just went to New Zealand actually, and she cycles South Island. But we've discussed getting together. We just haven't got around to it, unfortunately. But she went on a photography workshop with Nature by Nathan. I forget his surname, but she went.
Yep, I know you're talking about again. I can't remember his surname.
Yeah, brilliant photographer, and she went with him up to the coast somewhere north of Perth, and she said it was just fantastic learning experience, and was seeing whether maybe we could do something like that together. So we haven't got there yet, but hopefully down the track we'll get the opportunity.
Yeah.
But generally, it's just myself. I just go out on my own, and to be honest, I quite enjoy being on my own because otherwise I'm at work or with the family. So it's my time to get out and just have time to myself and
just focus.
Focus. Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever hit a creative wall, and if so, how do you overcome that sort of challenge? There any strategies that you have to stay inspired and engaged?
Not really. I have felt that way a couple of times where I just haven't been able to. I haven't enjoyed it perhaps once or twice, and I haven't got any really decent images, so I've just left it alone for a while.
Yeah.
And then a week or two or three will go past, and I'll grab the drone or the camera and head out, and you'll see something different, and it just inspires me to do it all over again. So no real strategies as such, but no, I'll just give it a break for a little while and then go out again and see how I go.
Yeah, nice. Where do you see landscape photography going, and what do you see as its biggest challenge at the moment?
Yeah, look, wow, it's interesting, isn't it? Because of the social media and the accessibility of drones and how amazing they are. Yeah, it's a really good question because you are competing, not competing, but a lot of people are trying to do what others are doing, aren't they? They've always done that, but now with the technology and the platforms, it's just so much easier for people to try and do that. So, look, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it's going. I recently thought about selling my Mavic 2 Pro, buying a Mini 3 Pro, just because it's more compact. Look, the sensors, as you would probably know, slightly smaller, but seen the images from this thing, and they're just incredible. So I've thought about doing that just to mix it up a bit, see what it's like to fly something a little bit different. But I haven't, because of my trusty old Mavic 2 Pro seems to do the job pretty well for what I'm interested in. So where it's, what do you reckon? Where do you reckon it's headed?
I think the technology is going to keep going. One of the things I'm interested in is where AI and photography starts to merge. I can see phone apps where you could take a shot and you've got your filters and those sorts of things already. Excuse me. But I can see things where images are actually going to be able to be altered in camera, i.e. on your phone through an app that incorporates elements of AI. What they're going to look like and what those enhancements do or whatever. I think that the creativity of people, though, isn't going to change much because for me, and I get the sense from people like yourself, that urge to get out there and experience life is going to always be there. So I don't think people are going to stop doing photography and just sit behind a keyboard and type out a few words just to get an image, though there are people that are seeing themselves as digital artists that probably are more interested in doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the fella on there. Is it Chavarro or?
Yeah, Chevron or whatever. Yeah.
Obviously, it's all artificially created, but they are stunning images. I can't help but like them myself. So yeah, there's probably a place for both. Well, there's going to be, I suspect, because of the way.
I just saw today the in the news, Sony, one of their photography competitions that they were running. The winning entry was actually AI created, and the guy coughed it up at the award ceremony, refused to accept the award, and wants the money that he would have won to be donated somewhere else, which is fine. at least he was honest enough to bring it up. For me, I think in terms of competitions and that sort of thing, that's just going to drive more desire to do raw file checking.
Yep.
Which basically then takes all of those heavily altered or AI generated images out of play to a certain degree, which probably means that for competitions, there's going to be a little bit more of a drive to more naturalistic, pure photography.
Yeah.
That said, I can still see competitions where there's a space or a place for digital art or digitally altered images or enhanced images to have their own category, perhaps. I think it's really going to be up to the people that are running the competitions to make a decision on what they do there. But from my perspective, I see a place for it. And
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, I think some of the images are absolutely amazing to look at. But I'm not certain in my mind that the ownership is potentially correctly attributed, because it's the system that's doing the work, the person. Yeah, okay. It's not as simple as just typing some words in, though.
Yep.
That's effectively all you're doing.
Yeah.
You've got to put the right words in to get an image that you're happy with. And sometimes potentially you can pull that image out of that and then process it yourself and do other things to it.
Yeah.
But I just don't know that from a photography perspective, that's going to be acceptable in a pure photography competition. To me, it's where you've actually got to sit down and take a good hard look at how the competition's been run and make a decision on whether or not you're going to enter, because you could be up against people that are entering AI, and at some point AI will create something far better than a human can.
100%. No, I agree. I agree. And I think it should be, if nothing else, at least categorized separately, because it is two different things entirely, isn't
it? Yeah, it's not photography.
No, that's right.
It's digital image generation. For me, yep. That's where I say, okay, you've written some words, but effectively the smarts and the actual build of the image comes from the system and comes from the developers of that system. So for me, I think there's, and also all of the images that used for analysis in that process to come up with that image. If you said, oh, I want to create an image in the style of Leonardo da Vinci, for example, and you can come up with that and it'll give you something. But what it's doing is it's referencing all of Leonardo's work, plus whatever else you've asked it to look at, and it's aggregating those and basically spitting out a result that says, this is what you're looking for, I think.
Yeah, it's the way it's all heading. It's quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah. I as I say, I don't see it necessarily. I don't see it as inherently bad. I personally would feel a bit weird about taking credit for the image, unless I'd put a lot of work into it in post production. So taken their image and then done more to it. I'd feel a bit weird about accepting any kind of accolades from anyone, even if it was just a post saying, wow, that's a great image. I'd be going, yeah, but all I did was type some words,
That's right. So obviously that other fella thought the same thing, which was probably the right train of thought.
Yeah, definitely. What's your favourite thing about being a photographer?
Being able to show people what the beauty of the world. I know that I just think that it's just absolutely stunning. The environment, the landscape, weather conditions, they all combine to just reveal, images that just blow my mind, and
Yeah.
hopefully blows other people's minds as well when they see them. I get a kick out of showing other people things that, not for my benefit, but just so that they can see what it is out there, and it sounds corny, but I say on my website, which is a pretty average website, but when I talk about my journey, it says that it might inspire others to get out and have a look at some of these places. And yeah, that's the truth of it, to be honest.
Yeah. What's your least favourite thing about being a photographer?
Probably the cost of fuel these days.
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling that. I'm an hour's drive away from the nearest beach, and I love my beach photography, but
yeah, I see that. Oh, yeah, no, that'd be tough.
a bit of a strain.
Yeah, no, it is. It's probably the cost of. In all honesty, it probably is that. But still, if I enjoy it enough, or I'm keen enough, that really won't hinder me in getting out there and doing it. But yeah, what about yourself? Can I ask you what's your
My least favourite thing?
least favourite thing about it?
Probably, yeah, I reckon it'd have to be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go and do a 4:30 a.m. sunrise shoot.
Well, you're more committed than I am. I did do it once. I've done it a few times, but only once did I get a really good image, I think, and that was down at Perth. I actually went to Kings Park one morning because I was down there for work or something like that, and I took my camera and tripod. And the forecast on that app that I've got said that it was going to be a pretty good sunrise, and sure enough, it was. And there was another fella there standing there, and we both looked at each other and thought, geez, how lucky are we to get this? I had the Perth skyline background, and it was the reddest of red skies to start with, and then it just it was extraordinary. So yeah,
gotta love it when it does that.
Oh yeah, I think it's the only decent sunrise I've been able to capture, but I don't get out for too many of them, I must say.
What advice would you give a teenage Josh about his future?
Oh, look, just have a go at it. Just have a go at what you love doing. It's something that I truly love doing, and if it's something that you enjoy, as I mentioned earlier in the piece, was that ridicule's probably a strong word, but people used to pull the pee out of me from time to time when I'd go on these journeys and take all these photos. Why are you taking so many photos? But it's something I just love doing. But now I've tried to hone in rather than just taking shots of everything. I now try to focus on what I'm trying to take a photo of and make it a half decent photograph. Just have a go for it. Just get out there. And there's nothing better than being out in the elements. And I'm not talking about the pissing rain, but out in that, you can't beat it. But get out there and just do what you love doing. If you like taking photographs and showing them to whoever you can, get out and do it.
That's great advice. Fantastic. What do we want? Sorry, I'm just trying to find where I go next.
This must take up a fair bit of your time, Grant, doing this.
A little bit, yeah. I'm enjoying the process of getting people on board and talking to them, finding out how they think. I'm learning a lot as well along the way, which is great. And I'm also keen to inspire other people to, if not take up photography, to extend themselves and look a bit deeper into their photography. And for me, it's always important, or it's always been important, to understand why you do something. So that's why I focus so heavily in the early part of the show about doing exactly that, finding out why people do what they do. And for me, I'm just fascinated to hear people's stories as well.
Brilliant. I have listened to a few of your other ones, and yeah, they are very interesting.
Yeah, in terms of time, I've automated a lot of it, so that's been pretty good. And just set up templates for stuff, and I push a few buttons, and it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, good. No, good on you. I reckon it's great. And it's very humbling to be invited on because I have seen the list of some of the people you've interviewed and top tier photographers. Someone like myself who's a bit of a amateur at best, it's a real privilege, mate, to be asked to come on. So thanks for that.
No, absolutely. But to me, it's not about whether or not someone's a big name or has a huge following on social media. It's about the quality of their work, and it's also finding out, have they got an interesting story, and just trying to explore all levels of photography. I've spoken to beginners, I've spoken to people that have been in the game for many years, and as you said, hit some of the top tiers. As I say, it's not all about hearing from those people all the time.
No.
I think it's really important to hear from people that have been doing it, showing promise, and doing a really good job with their own work. And that's why I ask all sorts of people on this. It's not, as I say, it's not about any particular level that you have to be at to get on the show.
No, very good. Very good, mate.
Try and make it as egalitarian as possible.
Yeah.
Who do you go to for advice?
Who do I go to for advice? Look, I asked my partner, what do you think of this image? And she'll provide feedback.
Yeah.
And that's encouraging for me. Sometimes we have differing views, of course, on the images that we look at, but there's some that I'll show her and I think it looks pretty good, and she'll say, yeah, I really like that one, actually. So that encourages me to think, well, she likes it. So I turn to her, and that'll be about it, really.
Okay, cool. Do you print much of your work?
I don't print a lot. I did buy a Canon, I forget the model, Prograph or something. Does an A3 Plus is the largest, which it doesn't do a bad job. So I print a little bit of the work. I've got a few. I've got one behind me here. I've got a couple more around the house. So yeah, I've printed a few family portraits and landscape shots. So yeah, not enough. I should print more and just give them to people and things like that. But it's just finding the time again. So
yeah, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Who else do you think I should be talking to on the show?
Oh, I love that question. Can I just have a quick scroll through my?
Yeah, go for it.
Seeing as you're going to edit, look, you've caught me off guard there, but there are some that I'd have to say that if you haven't already, and I apologise for not, Michael Schweiger.
I haven't seen much of his work, but
look, West _Aussie Mick. His name's Michael Schweiger, if I've pronounced that correctly. He is someone that I look up to. Very much abstract. He must have been to God knows how many salt lakes and remote areas in Western Australia. I thought I'd seen a lot of WA, but this guy, next level. So look, his work is just, if you're into the abstract, top-down, textured photography, he's hard to beat, in my opinion.
Sounds good.
Yeah, really unique stuff.
All right, I've got one more question for you, and for many, it's the most important one. Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
I do. I do like pineapple on my pizza.
Excellent. Good to hear. It's funny how that divides the photography community and other communities.
What's the percentage sitting at the moment, do you reckon?
To be honest, I don't know, but I have promised somebody that on the 100th episode, so we're only a couple of episodes away, on my 100th episode, I'm going to do a split. So I can give you an actual percentage of 100 photographers, which means I'll have to go back and have a listen and find out what everyone said.
Yeah. Right.
Probably, yeah. No, I will have to, because somebody will go through and do a count back.
Yeah, they will. Someone will.
Dear. Oh, it's been absolutely marvellous spending some time with you today, Josh. Where can people find what you do?
Look, they can go to my Instagram page, Humble Art Photography, or humbleartforcom.au, I believe.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Good on you. Thanks a lot, Grant. I appreciate the time that you've spent too, and for the invite, mate. Cheers.
No dramas. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography. I'll say that again. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Vero, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. If you're interested in buying prints or photography gear or doing a photo workshop with me, these are now on sale on my website. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.